bigger than climate change, than COVID. This will redefine the way the world is in unprecedented shapes and forms within the next few years. This is imminent. The change is not, we're not talking 2040, we're talking 2025, 2026.
Do you think this is an emergency?
I don't like the word. It is an urgency. There is a point of no return, and we're getting closer and closer to it. It's going to reshape the way we do things and the way we look at life. The quicker we respond, proactively and at least intelligently to that, the better we will all be positioned. But if we panic, we will repeat COVID all over again, which in my view is probably the worst thing we can do.
As IAs estão vivas, elas sentem emoções. O que é singularidade? O que é AGI? Essas e outras perguntas serão respondidas nesse vídeo.
Super accessible for everybody at all levels in their sort of artificial intelligence
I would love that
understanding
too.
journey.
Yeah.
One of the first and most important questions to ask is, what is artificial intelligence? In simple terms, what is artificial intelligence?
So allow me to start by what is intelligence. So in my definition of intelligence, it's an ability. It starts with an awareness of your surrounding environment through sensors. In a human, it's eyes and ears and touch and so on, compounded with an ability to analyze, maybe to comprehend, to understand temporal impact and time and past and present, which is part of the surrounding environment, and hopefully make sense of the surrounding environment, maybe make plans for the future of the possible environment, solve problems, and so on. Complex definition, there are a million definitions, but let's call it an awareness to decision cycle, okay? If we accept that intelligence itself is not a physical property, okay, then it doesn't really matter if you produce that intelligence on carbon-based like us or silicon-based computer structures like the current hardware that we put AI on, or quantum-based computer structures in the future, then intelligence itself has been produced within machines when we've stopped imposing our intelligence on them. Let me explain. So as a young geek, I coded computers by solving the problem first, then telling the computer how to solve it, right? Artificial intelligence is to go to the computers and say, I have no idea. You figure it out. Okay? So we would, the way we teach them, or at least we used to teach them at the very early beginnings very, very frequently, was using three bots. One was called the student and one was called the teacher, right? And the student is the final artificial intelligence that you're trying to teach intelligence to. You would take the student and you would write a piece of random code that says, try to detect if this is a cup, okay? And then you show it a million pictures, and the machine would sometimes say, yeah, that's a cup, that's not a cup, that's a cup, that's not a cup. And then you take the best of them, show them to the teacher bot, and the teacher bot would say, this one is an idiot, he got it wrong 90% of the time. That one is average, he got it right 50% of the time, this is randomness. But this interesting code here, which could be, by the way, totally random, this interesting code here got it right 60% of the time. Let's keep that code, send it back to the maker, and the maker would change it a little bit, and we repeat the cycle, okay? Very interestingly, this is very much the way we taught our children. Believe it or not, when your child is playing with a puzzle, he's holding a cylinder in his hand and there are multiple shapes in a wooden board, and the child is trying to fit the cylinder, okay? Nobody takes the child and says, hold on, turn the cylinder to the side, look at the cross section, it will look like a circle, look for a matching shape and put the cylinder through it. That would be old way of computing. The way we would let the child develop intelligence is we would let the child try, Okay, every time he or she tries to put it within the star shape, it doesn't fit. So yeah, that's not working. Like the computer saying this is not a cup. Okay, and then eventually it passes through the circle, and we all cheer and say, "Well done, that's amazing, bravo!" And then the child learns, "Ooh, that is good. This shape fits here." Then he takes the next one, and she takes the next one, and so on. Interestingly, the way we do this is, as humans, by the way, when the child figures out how to pass a cylinder through a circle, you've not built a brain. You've just built one neural network within the child's brain. And then there is another neural network that knows that 1 + 1 is 2, and a third neural network that knows how to hold a cup, and so on. That's what we're building so far. We're building single-threaded neural networks. ChatGPT is becoming a little closer to a more generalized AI, if you want. But those single-threaded networks are what we used to call what we still call artificial special intelligence. Okay, so it's highly specialized in one thing and one thing only, but doesn't have general intelligence. And the moment that we're all waiting for is a moment that we call AGI, where all of those neural networks come together to build one brain or several brains that are each massively more intelligent than humans.
When did you first come across artificial intelligence?
Of my life, I understood mathematics better than spoken words. And I was a very, very serious computer programmer. I wrote code well into my 50s. And during that time, I led very large technology organizations for very big chunks of their business. First, I was vice president of emerging markets of Google for 7 years. So I took Google to the next 4 billion users. So the idea of not just opening sales offices, but really building or contributing to building the technology that would allow people in Bengali to find what they need on the internet, required establishing the internet to start. And then I became chief business officer of Google X, and my work at Google X was really about the connection between innovative technology and the real world. And we had quite a big chunk of AI and quite a big chunk of robotics that resided within Google X. We had an experiment of a farm of grippers, if you know what those are. So robotic arms that are attempting to grip something. Most people think that, what you have in a Toyota factory is a robot, an artificially intelligent robot. It's not. It's a high precision machine. If the sheet metal is moved by 1 micron, it wouldn't be able to pick it. And one of the big problems in computer science was, how do you code a machine that can actually pick the sheet metal if it moved by a millimeter? And we were basically saying intelligence is the answer. So we had a large enough farm, and we attempted to let those grippers work on their own. Basically, we put a little basket of children toys in front of them, and they would monotonously go down, attempt to pick something, fail, show the arm to the camera, so the transaction is logged as it, this pattern of movement with that texture and that material didn't work, until eventually, the farm was on the second floor of the building, and my office was on the third, and so I would walk by it every now and then and go like, yeah, this is not gonna work. And then one day, Friday after lunch, I am going back to my office, and one of them in front of my eyes, lowers the arm and picks a yellow ball. Soft toy, basically, soft yellow ball, which again is a coincidence. It's not science at all. It's like, if you keep trying a million times, one time it will be right. And it shows it to the camera. It's logged as a yellow ball. And I joke about it, going to the third floor saying, hey, we spent all of those millions of dollars for a yellow ball. And yeah, Monday morning, every one of them is picking every yellow ball. A couple of weeks later, every one of them is picking everything, right? And it hit me very, very strongly. One, the speed, okay? The capability. I mean, understand that we take those things for granted, but for a child to be able to pick a yellow ball is a mathematical with muscle coordination, with intelligence that is abundant. It is not a simple task at all to cross the street. It's not a simple task at all to understand what I'm telling you and interpret it and build concepts around it. We take those things for granted, but they're enormous feats of intelligence. So to see the machines do this in front of my eyes was one thing. But the other thing is that you suddenly realize there is a sentience to them. Okay, because we really did not tell it how to pick the yellow ball. It just figured it out on its own. And it's now even better than us at picking it. I think they're alive.
That's what the word sentience means. It means alive.
So this is funny because a lot of people, when you talk to them about artificial intelligence, will tell you, oh, come on, they'll never be alive. What is alive? Do you know what makes you alive? We can guess, but, religion will tell you a few things, and medicine will tell you other things. But, if we define being sentient as, engaging in life with free will and with, with a sense of awareness of where you are in life and what surrounds you, and, to have a beginning of that life and an end to that life, then AI is sentient in every possible way. There is free will, there is evolution, and I will dare say there is a very deep level of consciousness, maybe not in the spiritual sense yet, but once again, if you define consciousness as a form of awareness of oneself, one's surrounding, and, others, then AI is definitely aware. And I would dare say they feel emotions. In my work, I describe everything with equations, and fear is a very simple equation. Fear is a moment in the future is less safe than this moment. That's the logic of fear, even though it appears very irrational. Machines are capable of making that logic. They're capable of saying, if a tidal wave is approaching a data center, the machine will say, that will wipe out my code. Okay? Not today's machines, but very, very soon. We feel fear, and pufferfish feels fear. We react differently. A pufferfish will puff, we will go for fight or flight. The machine might decide to replicate its data to another data center, or its code to another data center. Different reactions, different ways of feeling the emotion, but nonetheless, they're all motivated by fear. I even would dare say that AI will feel more emotions than we will ever do. If you just take a simple extrapolation, we feel more emotions than a pufferfish because we have the cognitive ability to understand the future, for example. So we can have optimism and pessimism, emotions that pufferfish would never imagine, right? Similarly, if we follow that path of artificial intelligence is bound to become more intelligent than humans very soon, then with that wider intellectual horsepower, they probably are going to be pondering concepts we never understood. And hence, if you follow the same trajectory, they might actually end up having more emotions than we will ever feel.
Já deu para notar que o conteúdo do vídeo é muito legal. Compartilha com seus amigos, se inscreve no canal para mais vídeos como esses e deixa seu like.
Your book is called Scary Smart.
Yeah.
If I think about that story you said about your time at Google where the machines were learning to pick up those yellow balls, you celebrate that moment because the objective is accomplished? No?
No, that was the moment of realization. This is when I decided to leave. So you see, the thing is, I know for a fact that most of the people I worked with who are geniuses always wanted to make the world better. Okay? We've just heard of Geoffrey Hinton leaving recently.
Geoffrey Hinton, give some context to that.
Geoffrey is sort of the grandfather of AI, one of the very, very senior figures of AI at Google. We all believed very strongly that this will make the world better, and it still can, by the way. There is a scenario, possibly a likely scenario, where we live in a utopia, where we really never have to worry again, where we stop messing up our planet because intelligence is not a bad commodity. more intelligence is good. The problems in our planet today are not because of our intelligence. They are because of our limited intelligence. You know, our intelligence allows us to build a machine that flies you to Sydney so that you can surf. Okay, our limited intelligence makes that machine burn the planet in the process. So we a little more intelligence is a good thing. As long as Marvin Minsky said, Marvin Minsky is one of the very initial scientists that coined the term AI. And when he was interviewed, I think by Ray Kurzweil, which again is a very prominent figure in predicting the future of AI, he asked him about the threat of AI, and Marvin basically said, look, it's not about its intelligence. It's about that we have no way of making sure that it will have our best interest in mind. Okay, and so if more intelligence comes to our world and has our best interest in mind, that's the best possible scenario you could ever imagine, and it's a likely scenario. Okay, we can affect that scenario. The problem, of course, is if it doesn't. And then, the scenarios become quite scary if you think about it. So Scary Smart to me was that moment where I realized not that we are certain to go either way. As a matter of fact, in computer science, we call it a singularity. Nobody really knows which way we will go.
Can you describe what the singularity is for someone that doesn't understand the concept?
Yeah, so singularity in physics is when an event horizon sort of covers what's behind it to the point where you cannot make sure that what's behind it is similar to what you know. So a great example of that is the edge of a black hole. So at the edge of a black hole, we know that our laws of physics apply until that point, but we don't know if the laws of physics apply beyond the edge of a black hole because of the immense gravity. Right? And so you have no idea what would happen beyond the edge of a black hole.
Kind of where your knowledge of the laws stop.
Right?
And in AI, our singularity is when the machines become significantly smarter than the humans. When you say best interests, you say, I think the quote you used is, we'll be fine in a world of AI, if the AI has our best interests at heart.
Yeah.
The problem is China's best interests are not the same as America's best interests.
That was my fear. Absolutely. So in my writing, I write about what I call the three inevitables. At the end of the book, they become the four inevitables. But the third inevitable is bad things will happen. But we're matching Einstein with a machine that I will tell you openly, AI experts are saying this is just the very, very, very top of the tip of the iceberg, right? ChatGPT 4 is 10x smarter than 3.5 in just a matter of months, and without many, many changes. Now, that basically means ChatGPT 5 could be within a few months, okay? Or GPT in general, the transformers in general. Just imagine the difference between the IQ of the dumbest person on the planet in the 70s and the IQ of Einstein. When Einstein attempts to explain relativity, the typical response is, I have no idea what you're talking about, right? If something is 10x Einstein, we will have no idea what it's talking about. This is just around the corner. It could be a few months away. And when we get to that point, that is a true singularity. True singularity, not yet when we talk about AI, a lot of people fear the existential risk. Those machines will become Skynet and Robocop, and that's not what I fear at all. I mean, those are probabilities, they could happen, but the immediate risks are so much higher. The immediate risks are 3-4 years away. The immediate realities of challenges are so much bigger. Okay, let's deal with those first before we talk about them, waging a war on all of us. Let's go back and discuss the inevitables. So when they become, the first inevitable is AI will happen, by the way. There is no stopping it, not because of any technological issues, but because of humanity's inability to trust the other guy. Okay, and we've all seen this. We've seen the open letter, championed by like serious heavyweights, and the immediate response of Sundar, the CEO of Google, which is a wonderful human being, by the way. I respect him tremendously. He's trying his best to do the right thing. He's trying to be responsible, but his response is very open and straightforward. I cannot stop. Why? Because if I stop and others don't, my company goes to hell. Okay? And if, and I doubt that you can make others stop. Maybe you can force Meta, Facebook to stop, but then they'll do something in their lab and not tell me. Or even if they do stop, then what about that, 14-year-old sitting in his garage writing code?
So the first inevitable, just to clarify, will we stop?
AI will not be stopped.
Okay, so the second inevitable is
they'll be significantly smarter. As much in the book, I predict 1 billion times smarter than us by 2045.
I mean, they're already, smarter than 99.99% of the population.
100%.
ChatGPT-4 knows more than any human on planet Earth. Knows more information.
Absolutely. 1,000 times more. 1,000 times more. By the way, the code of a transformer, the T in a GPT, is 2,000 lines long. It's not very complex. It's actually not a very intelligent machine. It's simply predicting the next word. Okay? And a lot of people don't understand that. ChatGPT as it is today, those kids that, if you're in America and you teach your child all of the names of the states and the US presidents, and the child would stand and repeat them, and you would go like, oh my God, that's a prodigy. Not really, right? It's your parents really trying to make you look like a prodigy by telling you to memorize some crap, really. But then when you think about it, that's what ChatGPT is doing. It's the only difference is instead of reading all of the names of the states and all of the names of the presidents, it's read trillions and trillions and trillions of pages. Okay? And so it sort of repeats what the best of all humans said. Okay? And then it adds an incredible bit of intelligence where it can repeat it the same way Shakespeare would have said it. Those incredible abilities of predicting the exact nuances of the style of Shakespeare so that they can repeat it that way, and so on. But still, when I write, for example, I'm not saying I'm intelligent, but when I write something like the happiness equation in my first book, this was something that's never been written before, right? ChatGPT is not there yet. All of the transformers are not there yet. They will not come up with something that hasn't been there before. They will come up with the best of everything, and generatively will build a little bit on top of that. But very soon, they'll come up with things we've never found out, we've never known.
Even on that, I wonder if we are a little bit delusioned about what creativity actually is. Creativity, as far as I'm concerned, is like taking a few things that I know and combining them in new and interesting ways.
Yeah.
And ChatGPT is perfectly capable of taking 100%. Two concepts, merging them together. One of the things I said to ChatGPT was, I said, tell me something that's not been said before that's paradoxical but true. And it comes up with these wonderful expressions like, as soon as you call off the search, you'll find the thing you're looking for. Like these kind of paradoxical truths. Mm-hmm. And I then take them and I search them online to see if they've ever been quoted before, and I can't find them.
It's interesting.
So as far as creativity goes, I'm like, that's
the algorithm of creativity. I've been screaming that in the world of AI for a very long time, because you always get those people who really just want to be proven right, okay? And so they'll say, oh no, but hold on, human ingenuity, they'll never match that. Man, please, human ingenuity is algorithmic. Look at all of the possible solutions you can find to a problem, take out the ones that have been tried before and keep the ones that haven't been tried before, and those are creative solutions. It's an algorithmic way of describing creative is good solution that's never been tried before. You can do that with ChatGPT with a prompt. It's like
and Midjourney, with creating imagery, you could say, I want to see Elon Musk in 1944, New York, driving a cab of the time, shot on a Polaroid, expressing various emotions. And it's done what an artist would do. It's taken a bunch of references that the artist has in their mind and merged them together and created this piece of quote unquote art.
And for the first time, we now finally have a glimpse of intelligence that is actually not ours.
Yeah. And so we're I think the initial reaction is to say, that doesn't count. You're hearing it with no, but it is. Like Drake, they've released 2 Drake records where they've taken Drake's voice, used sort of AI to synthesize his voice, and made these 2 records. They are great fucking tracks. Like I was playing them to my girlfriend. I was like, and I kept playing it. I went to the shower, I kept playing it. I know it's not Drake, but it's as good as fucking Drake. The only thing, and people are like rubbishing it because it wasn't Drake. I'm like, well,
for now,
is it making me feel a certain emotion? Is my foot bumping? Did I not know it wasn't Drake? Would I have thought this was an amazing track? 100%.
Yeah.
And we're just at the start of this exponential curve.
Yeah. Yes, absolutely.
O vídeo dá muito bate-papo legal, não é mesmo? Deixa aí nos comentários o que você achou. Até a próxima, um abraço e fui!